I don't know when I'm going to make this video as my schedule has been pretty tight lately, and not gonna lie, this whole God of War debacle has made me quite lethargic. More specifically, God of War Laufey, and the reveal of a female protagonist, which is the first time in the series. Some people are saying it's a welcome change, while some are not happy with it. So, as an indie game developer, I thought I should give my 2 cents on the matter. Yes, feel free to disagree with me. That's what the comment section is for, and I can assure you, I don't delete my comments, I don't turn them off, and I do not hide replies. With that out of the way, let's jump in the video.
I'm here to make inflammatory statements on the internet, and then turn my notifications off.
Originally, I was not going to make this video, but it seems like there is some level of tribalism going on. As a game developer who has published a game and learned a lot in the process, I thought I should look into it. I'm going to be honest here, okay? When I was young, our family could not afford a PlayStation 1. So when I got a part-time job, that's when I could afford to play video games, but that happened during the PS2 era, when games like Resident Evil Code Veronica and Silent Hill 2 were dominating sales. Game experience was being pushed in ways that had not been before on a console that had less memory than your average smartphone nowadays. One game to do just that was the original God of War, which at the time scored quite high with game journalists, which would not have happened if it was released today because of its punishing difficulty, and people like Dean Takahashi would probably never be able to finish it. But according to what I found online, God of War managed to ship around 4.45 million units worldwide, which is impressive, and soon after its release, a sequel was greenlit. According to Grok, there has been 10 mainline entries in God of War series. I'll leave a screenshot of it on the screen for a bit so you can see. Of course, this list doesn't include ports, remakes, or remasters. If you include those, then the list expands to 20 plus titles. Yes, that's a lot. But if you look at the 10 core entries, aside from Sons of Sparta, Kratos was the lead character in all of those games. And taking a quick look at the Metacritic page of Sons of Sparta, you can see why even the fans of the series are not talking about the game. Which brings us to God of War Laufey. I want to get this out of the way here first, okay? Narratively speaking, as a published author and game developer, I believe there's nothing wrong with exploring a different character in the same universe. Yes, many games have done that in the past. Bungie did that with Halo Reach and ODST, Gears of War did that with Judgment, Metal Gear Solid did that with Raiden, Sucker Punch did that with Yotei. Heck, one of my all-time favorite games, Silent Hill 2, did that by not bringing back characters from the first game. Of course, there are many more examples, but I just named a few. In the hands of brilliant creatives, the experience could end up being amazing. Reach's campaign is still talked about after all these years. ODST introduced firefight mode. Judgment had an arcadey feel to it. Raiden's inclusion in Metal Gear Solid 2 opened up the series to a new wave of players because they were seeing the world of MGS from a fresh new perspective. Yotei did manage to sell over 4.8 million units by June 2026, I think. And Silent Hill 2 managed to carve its legacy as one of the best, if not the best psychological horror game of all time. But as much as these games are remembered fondly now, they face their own backlash from fans back in the day. A lot of people didn't like the power-up abilities at the time in Reach, ODST faced criticism for not having matchmaking for firefight mode. It was private invites and peer-to-peer connections only. Game Informer first revealed a photo of Judgment with the face of the character shaded out. People thought it was Marcus Phoenix and we would probably get an origin story. So their disappointment was justified when Bear Damon was revealed to be the main protagonist. People being tricked to play as Raiden for 2/3 of the game was a mistake that even Kojima acknowledged. He went on to make fun of the character in Metal Gear Solid 3, not just in the game, but in the official announcement trailer as well. Yote may have been a success, but is nowhere near the 13 million sales of Tsushima. I can't remember anything about Silent Hill 2, if there were any controversies or fan backlash at the time of its release, but if you're aware of any, please let me know in the comment section below. Point is, no matter the game, there has always been some sort of criticism against it. Coming back to God of War Laufey, some people are calling Faye ugly, which seems to be a trend in Western games, one that is forced by developers and sometimes by platform holders themselves. Then there are talks about the male protagonists being replaced by female ones. I think these two are possibly the two biggest complaints that I know of. Now, I want to stress here that these are concerns by gamers. Whether they are valid or not, that's a different case. They have an argument, which is based on evidence and patterns that they have noticed in the industry, and they have concerns over it. To chalk all that criticism as sexism or gamers just don't like women, that counter-argument is stupid. Some of the best games in the industry featured strong, powerful women. From Tomb Raider to Perfect Dark, Resident Evil, Dino Crisis, Street Fighter, The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, and many, many more. Gamers grew with powerful female leads, and if they are concerned over something, then it is up to game developers to assure them that their beloved IP is in safe hands. Communicate openly and let your audience know that this is just another chapter in a series that needs to be explored to pave the way forward. Like I said, there is nothing wrong with using a different character to explore a story or a universe. My issue is that they're calling it God of War. Let me break this down for you. Kratos was the main character in 9 mainline God of War games. It started from Greek mythology and then moved on to Norse. They literally changed the mythology and the setting, but they kept the character. And now they're exploring a different character but in the same setting. My question is this storyline important? Does it need to be explored? Remember, there were no hints of Kratos exploring Norse mythology pre-2018 game. Yes, the developers did talk about it, but there were no hints in the actual games that after the Greek mythology is over, the developers are going to move on to Norse mythology. And yes, the developers may tie Laufey with Kratos' next adventure, but does it need to? Especially when you consider that there was no setup from Greek to Norse setting. So one has to wonder, why is this game being made? Why is this character being explored? Why is this story being told? And if your answer is the character is strong as Kratos and she deserves her own outing, then why call it God of War? Why not just Laufey? Or is it Laufey or Laufey? I don't know. Or they can call it completely, something else. And the answer is simple. You will get more sales if you call it God of War Laufey than just Laufey. It's the brand built by Kratos with 9 mainline entries and multiple re-releases, remasters, and remakes. And that would also explain why the gameplay feels more like the previous 2 God of War games than something new to the series. Honestly, the announcement would have gone down better if it was just called Laufey and played like, I don't know, Dark Souls or a survival horror game where Faye starts off weak and has to hide from enemies, but as the game goes on, she becomes more powerful, and by the final act, you are mowing down enemies like Kratos from God of War. I think if they had gone down that route and kept the final act a secret, the announcement would have gone down a lot smoother. I actually commented on Rhino's post recently, what gaming take would you defend like this? And I responded with, God of War Laufey is not a God of War game without Kratos. And yes, I meant it. Now somebody mentioned in my comments, that's like saying that it's not a Halo game without Master Chief, while the best Halo game is Reach. First up, that's subjective, okay? I personally think all Halo games were amazing in their own way. OG Halo revolutionized first-person shooters on consoles. Halo 2 brought matchmaking. Halo 3 revolutionized online co-op. Reach multiplayer was solid. ODST's Firefight mode gave birth to clones like Horde mode. But let's dissect this for a moment, okay? Reach is canon. Reach is part of the lore. When the game came out, we all knew how it was going to end. Reach is part of the Halo lore, and once again, Bungie pulled it off. It was a story that was told in the books and retold from a different perspective in the form of a game. For the uninformed, okay, Reach just wasn't a colony. It was the biggest shipyard / training ground for Spartans and ODSTs, and home to key command centers. Losing it was like having your throat torn out. Reach also directly enables the start of Halo Combat Evolved. Noble Team fights tooth and nail to get Cortana and the coordinates of the Halo Ring aboard the Pillar of Autumn. If that had not happened, Master Chief would have never been on the ring and humanity probably would have been glassed into oblivion. In the books, the fall of Reach is one of the bloodiest battles of the entire Human Covenant saga. It weakened the UNSC massively and was also the devastating turning point that sets up everything in the original Halo trilogy. So, yeah, the story is crucial to the overall lore. And once again, the question is, why is Laufey's story crucial? Does it need to be told? Why is that character being explored? Of course, these questions might get answered when the game comes out, but at this current moment in time, the fans have the right to be worried that Sony is doing the same thing with Kratos that they have done with their other IPs. But hey, at least Domino's Pizza UK shares my views. Now that brings me to my second issue with the game. They brought Jack Quaid to mocap a cube. They brought a Hollywood celebrity to voice a cube. Bro, look at him. He looks more confused than me when I go shopping without my mom. Okay, he looks like he doesn't know what's going on. I can't, bro. I just can't. And then these developers complain about ballooning game budgets, which would justify raising prices for games. I think Gundam put it right. Why spend money on motion capturing people who are playing a cube and ribbons for God of War? This is why games cost so damn much. The developers think they're Steven Spielberg. I actually responded to the post and surprisingly it went down quite well. I replied with, that's just the thing. They think they are Steven Spielberg, but not the ones that made E.T. or Jurassic Park, but the one who made the recent Snooze Fest, whose name I forgot, the one with Emily Blunt. I think it's called Disclosure Day or something. Anyways.
Did I just do that?
Well, definitely with my assistance.
I did not just do that.
We did.
I just moved shit with my mind.
Perhaps.
At the end of the day, look, if this game doesn't appeal to you because the character is ugly, or you're tired of the game companies replacing men or desexualizing women, then don't buy it, okay? If you want to buy the game because go girl, go girl boss, or you want to stick it to the chuds online, then support it with your cash. But there is no point in you screaming online about supporting the game and then not buying it. Likewise, there's no point in you saying that you will not support Santa Monica and Sony but end up streaming the game anyway because someone gifted it to you or you bought it pre-owned. Bro, you're still promoting the game. If you want to support the game, put your money where your mouth is. If you want to boycott the game, then ignore it completely and move on. It's not rocket science. And with that, you know what, I'm gonna close this video. Rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my game, Gaming Journal Simulator, on Steam right now. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm sure you will have a lot of fun playing it. That's it. Peace out, angels. Stay awesome. Christ is king. And yeah, see you around.